All right.
Okay.
Now it looks great. Yeah. So, Nehara, I am Professor Ganesh Koramannil, CEO of iQuery Australia. In fact, iQuery is the exclusive partners for Up Education with whom you are at present doing your foundation program. And we also work with the 3 universities that the foundation program leads to in New Zealand. As a matter of fact, I've been in New Zealand last week. On Friday, I went to your campus, which you attend virtually in Wellington. And I also went to Victoria University. I think the most remarkable moment for me at the university was to be able to see a real Nobel Prize sitting there on campus.
Oh, wow.
Right? I don't know if you're familiar. No, I don't know if you knew about that or not, but you are going to a university where you have a Nobel Prize winner, and this is someone who got a Nobel Prize for chemistry in 2000, the year 2000. So yes, you got a lot, to take inspiration from. So with on that note, I would really like to thank you on behalf of iQuery, as well as we have a lot of associates and we have students. We also have partnering institutions in many states in India and the UAE, and hopefully in a few more countries by the end of this year. So I'm also going to ask you a few questions, as we discussed earlier, mostly to help students of your age as well as the parents to understand what a fantastic opportunity the foundation program is for anyone for that matter. But before we start with the questions, it'll be great if you can introduce yourself so that people know exactly who you are and and how you got into the foundation program. By the way, all the faculty at Up Education, they were very, very, they were super impressed by your performance so far. Right.
Oh,
well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Right. So yeah, over to you, Nehara.
So my name is Nehara Pandey. I'm 19 and I live in Goa. So in 2019, I finished my 12th standard in the science stream. And then the pandemic hit and I decided to take a gap year because I have a really old grandmother and it was a lot of issues during the pandemic. So I focused on, I did a couple of internships. I did lots of courses for the 1 year. And then I decided to apply to Victoria University for a marine biology degree because marine biology has always been my passion. But then the problem was that my grades were slightly low because I had a health issue in the 12th standard. So they recommended I do the foundation program. And here I am doing the foundation program. I finished one semester. I'm a fast track student. So I finished one semester. I have one more semester left. And then I hope to start my course at Victoria University in Feb of 2022.
I'm pretty sure you will, and well done. So for the benefit of our viewers in the future, in particular parents and students, if you could tell us what is the foundation program all about? What is it as you see as a student?
I think the foundation program is more to help you understand like what your level needs to be at when you're at university. So for example, there are 2 subjects that every student has to take, which is New Zealand culture and society and mathematics. I think the mathematics is more just to establish your level at maths. So no matter what subject you're taking, some base level maths is required. And I think New Zealand culture and society is a great course because you're moving to a new country and knowing the history and culture of that country is really important. Then the subjects I took for my first semester was media studies, management studies, and environmental science. I think there was a great focus on collaboration in my classes. So collaborating with students from all across the world, even though it was just online, as well as the onshore students. And I think that's very helpful for when we go into university and we have to collaborate on projects with students, again, from all over the world who we've never met before. I think it's a great learning experience for that. Then the essays and assignments we do, there is a great focus on following the structure that's required in university, which was very helpful for me because I learned things like APA citations, which I hadn't learned in school. And that's going to be very useful to me in university. And here I can ask all my questions, all the little doubts I have on a more individual level with the teachers. So I think it's very helpful so far. It's been a great experience. And even the online classes are very engaging.
Yeah, I'll come to that in a minute, but just for the benefit of parents and students who would be listening to this or watching us at a future date. First of all, the foundation program are equivalent of 11th and 12th. So you don't necessarily have to wait until you complete year 12 to do this program. And anyone who has completed 10 years of high school studies or school studies, in fact, should be able to get into one of these foundation programs to one of the 3 top universities in New Zealand. And that includes, of course, Nehara's university, which is Victoria University of Wellington, which is in the capital, city of Wellington, New Zealand's capital. We also have 2 other fantastic universities that you could choose from, including AUT University in Auckland, as well as the top university in New Zealand, and one of the top 100 universities in the world, which is University of Auckland. But it depends on the subject that you would like to study, the course you would like to study. And each university has their specific, they're all very strong universities, but they also have super specialities. And certainly, like, marine science is an exceptional program that is offered at University of Victoria. So you've chosen quite wisely because, as I mentioned earlier, that's a university that can boast of a student, of a science student getting a Nobel Prize. So what else you could think of in any career, in any field for that matter, especially if it is related to science. Now, what iQuery does, this is our first meeting, Nehara, and I'm sure, we're going to be, we will certainly have more conversations as you progress into your course and eventually when you go to New Zealand. iQuery, we are based in Australia, and we are a specialist educational, business that provides or that initiates partnerships between institutions, thereby providing individual students and their families targeted guidance to their career and education. We also support our students. That's a very distinct feature of our model. iQuery supports our students right from the first query they make about what is this about, and there onwards all the way to progressing the students through the selection process for the foundation program, admissions, visas, transition, or your journey to New Zealand when the borders open. And once you graduate, our migration team even will be there to support you to apply for your post-study work visa, and whatever visa requirements that you have to meet to continue with your career in New Zealand. So we provide a very long-term, professional, transparent, and scaffolded guidance to all our students. That's what we do. And how we do this in India is, the key model is to partner with international schools in India. So, for example, we got partners in Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Delhi, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. So some of the states where we have partners, we've signed, we've established partnerships. So what they're going to do is, if you are a student, if you're listening to us today, if you're watching this video, if you are a student or if you're a parent thinking about how to go about this, it's very simple. If you are in India, you can get in touch with us. We'll be able to put you onto the right track based on which part of India you come from. Now, where we have partners, they also, what the partners do is they offer a 17-week preparation program for a class 10 student. And why that preparation program is because, Nehara completed year 12. So she's quite better off in terms of dealing with what happens in the foundation program. And that is why, rightfully, she got into the accelerator program, because that certainly shows how capable she is academically. It was only a tad bit of this, gap that you had between the prerequisites to the course. And I think, you will be very thankful that you had that difference, because the experience that you're getting, Nehara, that even a fresh graduate from high school in India will not get when they go to the university. You'll be far more prepared in two ways. One, of course, as you rightly indicated, the referencing, APA referencing style, for example, because that is mandatory. No matter which university you choose in the Western world or in the English countries, you must be very familiar with the academic system, the assessment systems. So collaboratory work that you mentioned, which could be like, our students are capable of collaborating, but we never get that opportunity. Even if you come from an IB, IGCSE background, you may rarely get an opportunity to work towards university preparation. You may be very well versed with your subjects. So they're two different things. You may be great with mathematics, science, or whatever subjects you're focusing on, but university preparation is a different cup of tea altogether. And that's exactly what the foundation program provides. So if you could tell us something about how does this prepare you? I mean, I know you have already, alluded to that earlier, but simply put, if you were to tell another friend of yours of your age, what would you tell them as to how this program prepares you for the university studies?
I think it basically focuses on how universities work and what is expected of you when you go into university. So things like following certain guidelines and styles and referencing and how work is submitted, and certain things that are expected of you is taught at up education, which I think definitely helps when it comes to university. It helps you get into that routine as well of, okay, I'm no longer a school student, now I'm a university student. There are some extra things required of me. So I think it really helps with that transition.
Right. Now, another question I have to ask, because, this year we are offering quite a lot of, any student in India who has completed class 10 and above. It could be students like yourself who took a gap year, or even someone like, who actually studied something but was not happy about what they were doing. And if they want to, get a second chance at going to some of the top universities in the world, what we offer them is an admission test that they can take, based on which you will get into a 6-month course as a fast track or accelerated course that you are in, if you get 85% marks. So obviously, you are in the fast track course because you were able to score 85 or more in the admission test, which is a class 10 level test. So you don't have to, once you are a class 2 graduate, obviously it should be easier for you to get 85%. But even if you don't get 85%, for example, a fresh class 10 graduate from this year, whose exams were never conducted for the last 2 years, if you look at India, due to the pandemic, for those people to take a proper online test, and based on that, the maximum time they spend for this foundation is 1 year. So effectively, anybody who would start this program this year will be able to study with Nehara from July. So I'm sure you will start in February, but you will be just one semester ahead. So any student in India today, if you would sign up for this year, worst case scenario, you will start with Nehara in July. But if you're smart enough, you can still start, because we got a 6-month fast track program. If you can get 85% marks in the admission test, you could be actually going to university with Nehara, next year. So that's what we offer now. And I would certainly strongly recommend anybody who is watching us to share this information with people, so that we can help as many students as possible, especially people who have a long-term overseas on a global career goal. And that's exactly, I'm sure, what Nehara is the embodiment of the future, a significant number of Indian youth who actually wants to be a global citizen. Right. So coming back to your experience with the foundation program, I met a lot of students, for example, on campus. Like, there were many from, I think countries like Thailand, Oman, Malaysia. I think we got students from over 16 countries. What has been your experience interacting with students from other countries? And you are still doing online.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. It's definitely exposed me to a lot of different cultures. And I think the group projects that are really emphasized in the course, I think they really help you expose you to these different cultures, because you have to work with people who are in different time zones and all over the world, and you have to accommodate everybody's different perspectives and cultures. And it's been a really great experience actually.
Have you made some friends who would be going with you to the university, in February?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what countries are they from?
Korea, Singapore. I made another friend from India as well, so it's been great.
Right. Now, the other thing about the online access of this course, because we have, as we speak, we have a group of students taking the admission test this week as we speak, and they will start the foundation program in July. And depending on the grades they will get in the marks or percentage or the GPA they get in the admission test, they could be doing 6 months, 9 months, or a 1 year program. So for them, what would you say about your experience in terms of accessing this course online? Because there's a lot of inhibition from parents saying that, is it some kind of sub-quality, or is it going to be challenging, etc. Because these are concerns that parents normally have. But what were your, two questions there. What were your apprehensions when you initially signed up for this thing? Oh, I'm going to do an online course. But what has been your experience afterwards? So those two questions.
I'd say at first I was a little bit concerned about how easy it would be to concentrate with online classes, but that was completely misplaced. I've had no trouble concentrating in class. The teachers are really good. They're very engaging. Also, we have to keep our cameras on, so no slacking off. Uh, I think that was my biggest concern was that, but I think that was misplaced. And even though because it's online, there isn't such a big emphasis on tests, but it's more on assignments and using your critical thinking and your own social and cultural experience to talk about different topics and write about different topics. There's a very big emphasis on that, which I think is great because you actually have to think about it, and it's not just something you can copy paste off the internet. You actually have to use your brain and think about it, which is something that isn't so emphasized in the Indian education system, which I think again helps when you go to university, because critical thinking is more necessary in university than compared to the Indian schools. That I think it's very helpful for that as well.
Great. Now, another question from a parents' point of view, because I interact, we are associates, and so we interact regularly on an ongoing basis with parents, which is our business. And we also would be interacting with those parents as their children progress through the foundation course and then to the university, and eventually when they apply for jobs and all. Till then, we hope to be interacting with those parents. So therefore, I would like to ask a question on behalf of them to see what has been your family's outlook about this. What were their apprehension about, like, you doing something like this, and especially committing, for if you look at the investment that you're going to make, et cetera, et cetera. What have been their apprehensions, and how do they find it now?
I'd say in the beginning, because I was doing the fast track course, when I did speak to Mr. Pedersen, he did emphasize that the fast track course is a little bit more difficult and you'll have to put a lot more time in. So I was a little bit apprehensive about that, but so far I did definitely had to put time in, but I actually enjoyed my courses a lot. I liked all the subjects I chose, so I didn't mind putting in all the extra time. But I definitely recommend people who are taking the fast track course, especially the first semester, because you have maths and New Zealand culture and society as well, to take into consideration that you will have to put in hard work. Especially if you want to do well and get good grades, you definitely will have to put in the extra work.
Right. Now, what did your parents think before, when your family think about this before you signed up?
My mother and I made the decision together. So we sat down, we weighed the pros and cons of going, and I was pretty set on going to Victoria University. And for me, the biggest problem was I had health issues in the 12th grade, and they'd by the time I was applying, they'd already been sorted out. So I knew that I'd be able to do the foundation course, no problem. So we weighed the pros and cons and decided the investment into the course was worthwhile for me. But I would say that only make the investment if you know that you're willing to put in the work. Otherwise, it would be a waste of money. So if you're not too sure and you're not sure if you want to put in the work, then I'd say maybe think about it a little bit longer. But if you're willing to put in work and study, and especially for people who struggle with English, I think for me, I'm lucky. English is my first language. But I think people who struggle with English have a little bit more difficulty in the course, especially with the subject English. I mean, it's obviously not impossible, but you will have to put in a little bit more work. So I think take the course if you're willing to do that.
Right. And what does your mother think about your progress now?
She's quite happy with my grades.
Great. Okay. Now, another question talking about the grades. As you know, foundation program also have, it has got opportunities for you to perhaps win a scholarship when you go to the university. So are you familiar with that? And what would you be looking at by the time you graduate?
Yeah, I am familiar with the scholarships. Definitely, I'd be aiming to get one. But I'm focusing on doing the best that I can and doing the best work that I can and presenting only quality work. And if I win the scholarship, that's great.
I'm sure you will, because given the feedback that I've been getting, that you certainly are in the in the running. Certainly some of the top students in your group, which is really great. So we certainly would wish you all the best on that. Well, another question I have is about I also noticed that the foundation program also offers students like yourself to become student ambassadors. So are you one of them, or are you familiar with some of them? If you can talk something about it, because that is where you get peer support from other students from other, from around the world, in fact.
No, I'm not a student ambassador, and I'm not really familiar with the student ambassador program. I think maybe they mention it to graduating students.
Yeah, so please, what to say, you could raise this with your teacher next time, because that's an opportunity for you to be helping, because you've been so kind and helpful for our students, our future students in India, I should say. So I'm sure with your kind of insight and experience, you could actually be helping many other students from around the world. So that's an opportunity. Besides studies and scholarships, that's another opportunity that everyone getting into the foundation program will have. You could become a student ambassador. So I would strongly recommend that you go for it, because you've got all the qualities and commitment for that, right? So that'll be really great. I'm sure quite a lot of students will benefit from that, if you could spare the time. That's the whole point, isn't it? Now, can you also say, what kind of support do you think you would need, let's say, after you graduate, when you're planning to go to New Zealand? What kind of support do you think you would need to make your life easy to get started with your undergraduate degree?
I think now we're in kind of uncertain times still. The borders haven't opened and the situation in India hasn't completely stabilized. So I think first getting my visa and going to New Zealand will be a bit of a challenge. I think that would be a place where support would be necessary. And once I get, go to a new country, things like insurance, organizing all the documents I need, certain medications I need, health insurance, things like that. I think that's where not just me, but any student would need support.
Thank you for highlighting those things, because I asked this question in particular because this is precisely what iQuery does. So, as a return gesture for your time and your, your openness to share your experience, we'll be more than happy to arrange something for you. We'll be able to put you in touch with our, our migration advisor who will do the visas and other things for you. So we'll send you those details as we go. But we provide this to all our students. And you have certainly highlighted those things. Visas are predominantly important, because without a visa, you're not going anywhere, right? So we do that, but it is done by the professionals, like, the certified designated professionals by New Zealand government, who are the visa and migration advisors, registered advisors. So number one, and I'm sure you will have the support. Now that you have helped us to, get an insight into your experience, we owe it to you to provide that kind of a support to you, right? So thank you very much for that. But yes, for all our students, we provide this long-term support. That includes visa, insurance, travel plans, accommodation, and to some extent assisting you, guiding towards part-time employment. Because as you know, the day one you start your course at Victoria University, you will be able to apply for employment. And I'll tell you a secret. I was at this Indian restaurant on Sunday, and they said, look, the restaurant owner, obviously, once you see an Indian, you start talking. And this is a family business. The person comes from Gujarat, and they had some of the, I think one of the best Indian meal I have ever had over the last couple of years. So it was really fantastic. So I complimented for that. But, what he was saying is, look, we are just badly waiting for the borders to open because we badly need people. So he asked me, do you have any Indian students here, who could actually come and work for us? They're desperate to get people to work. And students like yourself will be snapped. And I'm told that some of the best restaurants there, I think it was in Cuba Street in Wellington, they were doing limited hour service because they did not have enough staff. So they were losing a lot of money because they could not offer lunch. So some of them had cut down on lunch hours and to provide dinner, because a person can work only for about 40 hours a week. So what I'm trying to say is there are people who are desperate for people. So when you go there, there'll be plenty of work to do, right? And we will be able to guide you to, to what is to negotiate the system, basically. And that's another culture you will learn. Up Education, as well as Victoria University, offers you career guidance. And they will be able to assist you with how to make the application, because the job is there, but how do you apply and how do you win the job? So to that extent as well, we provide support. So it's not just about visas. What I'm trying to say is iQuery will stay with you as a co-partner as a student. That's what we do to all our students. And now that we are friends, certainly we owe it to you, Nehara. So one last question. If you would advise anything, if you have a word of suggestion or advice, I should say, for the parent as well as for a student who might want to take up this course, so what would you tell the parents and what would you tell the students?
I'd say that if a student has their heart set on a university in New Zealand that they really do like, and they've looked at it and the program is something they believe that they truly benefit from and it will help them achieve their career, I think that doing foundation courses like Up Education is definitely a great idea. Not only does it help you prepare for university, it's just it's been a great experience. You get exposed to different cultures before you start university. It helps you with collaboration and group work. It helps you learn structures and important things that you'll require in university academically, such as APA citations, like I mentioned, how to write an academic essay, all those things. It's just very helpful overall. And to parents, I'd say, sometimes you have to make investments into your child's future. And if you believe that the university that your child wants to attend in New Zealand will definitely help them in their future career, and that it would be a good experience for them, I think that it's worth it then.
Yeah, also the fact that students who study in New Zealand, after they graduate, they are much sought after in the Australian job markets as well. With any professional registration you can acquire in New Zealand, you can use the same registration to work pretty much anywhere in Australia. So New Zealand may sound like a small country, but don't forget the big continent next door to you. Because so you don't have to really worry about will I get a job or not. Students get snapped up really quickly if they are very good students at undergraduate degree. One last comment I would like to make, before we part, this evening, is that I've been to all the three universities, University of Auckland, AUT, and Victoria. They all have a very good problem. And the problem is that students like Nehara, who would end up doing a bachelor degree, do not seem to go for a master's immediately with them. The reason is, almost by the time they complete their graduation, they are snapped up by employers. They have work. And they would eventually go back for a master's, but all the three universities communicated the same message, saying, look, this is a good problem that we have, that we don't get our undergraduate students to study masters with us because they get employed now. So that's that. I think on that note, I would like to wish you all the very best for your foundation program, your last semester.
Thank you.
And certainly, one other thing that we do, we assure our parents and students is that we will be in person, visiting you in New Zealand. So all our students who go to New Zealand will be visiting them in person to make sure that they are happy with where they are. And we will be in constant contact with all the students. So I'll be certainly looking forward to you flying down to Wellington early next year, because by the looks of it, the border should be open for you by then. And you will be one of the preferred students to go to New Zealand first, because you are already doing a course. And once you get your visa, you'll be ready to go as soon as the borders open. And the best news is that you don't actually have to complete your foundation program. If it opens in 2 months' time, you could be still flying to New Zealand. So I think the next thing for you, besides staying focused on your studies, is to also, perhaps you and your mom can talk to the migration advisor. I'll sort those things after this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nehara, because it's a great, we believe in what we do. Like, my associates, my partners and team members, we believe in what we do. But it's always good to have someone like you to confirm and reinforce the faith that we have in the system, right? Thank you very much. And certainly looking forward to seeing you in New Zealand. All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure. It has been a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you.